talking about Texans offseason or anything else you guys want to discuss. So the Texans, basically the coaching staff is done, as we've already reported. James Ferentz coming in as tight ends coach, Jake Moreland out. Ben Bowling, assistant linebackers coach out. No replacement as of yet. We'll see if they fill that spot. Not going to be an assistant offensive line coach. Zach Yenzer is now the Miami Dolphins offensive line coach. And Texans added Alex Ward from University of Central Florida as an offensive quality control. Still might have another quality control spot or so. Pat Riley is out as an offensive assistant. So that is some of the changes, and I hope we'll fill up here a little bit here soon. And we're getting some ones joining now. So guys, welcome to the chat. Hello everyone. Doing great. Thank you for joining me. And excited to answer your questions. They are starting to preliminary talks, discussions with some of their own free agents. Expect EJ Speed to be among the candidates for a potential extension. Doing great. So we'll see how that goes. You guys saw my report about CJ Stroud declining the Pro Bowl. I think that was smart. I don't think that was, the right environment for him. I'm not too big on haircuts meaning something. I just, that's my first question of the night, but I'll answer it. I think that haircuts are everybody's personal choice. I don't necessarily think I would write an article about a haircut. I think that's kind of a little bit too much navel gazing for me. I'm a journalist. I kind of don't really care about his hair. It's the kind of thing like I might mention if I was actually doing a fully focused CJ piece, but to me, it just doesn't mean anything. It's relevant. I saw this before a bunch of people. I watch all the social media. I saw that posted and think that's fine. I think it looked nice and neat, right? And CJ could always grow it out or cut it short or whatever he does. It looks a lot like his high school haircut. No, come on, guys. Alarming identity issues. Not to make fun of the questions. Maybe you're joking around. I don't know. I think that for CJ, why he didn't go to the Pro Bowl, it was a personal choice. They just didn't think that was something he was interested in doing at this time. He'd rather spend some time, focusing on recharging from the season, refocusing, and getting ready for next season. So nothing in it for him. The Pro Bowl games is a couple of days of flag football and events and a marketing event. It really is not important. It's a status thing if you're in the Pro Bowl, but they've really dumbed it down, right, guys? I mean, in terms of importance, when Joe Flacco and Shedeur Sanders are the quarterbacks and Justin Fields turned it down. So I understand everybody wants to attach meaning to every single thing, and I just tend to not consider it to be important, his hair or the Pro Bowl. But I understand that people are interested in it, and part of my job as a reporter is to serve the public interest, see what you guys are interested in talking about. But yeah, I'll take any questions about haircuts. I'm not of the opinion that it matters, so we'll see. Let me back up a little bit, just to make sure I didn't miss any questions. You guys are welcome. I appreciate you guys saying I'm insightful. No, to answer, that's JJ Texans. The Texans can start right now on negotiations. They don't have to wait. There is probably going to be one more offensive quality control. That will not be a big deal. I would say like Pat Riley leaving and Mike Snyder not being retained with his contract expiring, and the other one, Alex Ward coming in, just not a big deal. These guys, just to tell you what they do, part of what they do is holding up the cards that they write down the plays on for the scout team. Another duty is helping to write up the plays for the playbook, for the actual book that they have in terms of the iPad. Also, spotting in terms of down and distance and things like that, and any tendencies they pick up from the press box with their binoculars, and then talking to Nick Caley and the other coordinators about that. There is a little bit of money for the Pro Bowl, yes. Don't have it in front of me. The coaching staff is pretty much done. They might add someone else on defense, someone else on offense. It won't be anything that you'll be interested in at all. They are preparing for the NFL scouting combine currently. There's a chance that Nick Caserio goes, maybe D'Amico Ryans doesn't. A lot of head coaches don't go. He can actually watch the interviews, which is the most important reason to go besides the medical. He can watch that from his office. We'll see if he goes. He's gone every year, though. I understand all the haircut questions, guys. For CJ, just to reiterate, he just felt like getting a haircut. I didn't text his mom or him to ask him. It's not a big deal. It might be symbolic to some, and you can attach meaning to it. Unless he wants to really get in depth about his haircut, I just don't see it. I understand why some that are kind of shooting for the lowest common denominator. I'm a little bit critical. To me, this is not an article that I would write at www.clicktohouston.com. It's more of a talker. Ed Ingram, he could command between 15 and 18 million. He's a valuable guard, and this is his prime years. He's going to be 27 this season. I think that he should look around. I don't know if you get the same quality in the draft. He's a good young lineman. Any college lineman, you don't know, they're not proven in the NFL. Just like everyone thought Will Campbell was going to be very good. Not everyone, but a lot of people thought he would be very good, and he wasn't. King Birdie, you think that Davis is happy the Texans did not make the Super Bowl spending more time with a newborn? Okay. I don't know if that's a satire tweet or something, but that's not accurate. He would have loved to be in the Super Bowl. Also, going to the Super Bowl, you make more money, and he could have spent that a lot on diapers, baby shoes, all that stuff. I did not attend the Senior Bowl, Cam. I don't have a lot of in-person observations I could have made if I had chosen to go. I decided not to go. I decided to recharge myself. It's a very long season for me, and sometimes I need to rest too. And I also had coaching stuff to work on and some events that I've attended, like the showcase this weekend. You saw Hannah McNair's comment to me about the season. Obviously, she was just like you guys. It's hurting. They weren't cheap on Saquon. They just didn't do a high bidding war for Saquon. They were about $2 million APY per year less, and they wound up still spending a lot of money on the running back position at $9 million per year, average per year, on Joe Mixon. I don't even know if they'll get up to the plate with Tyler Linderbaum or if he'll be back with the Ravens or going to the New York Giants. We'll see. Texans' fifth-year option is what I'm hearing. $26.5 million in 2027. They'll make a decision, I believe, after next season. But I'm not hearing extension at all. Let me go back here. $2 million per year adds up pretty fast. CJ has a permanent home in Houston. He also has a residence in California. He's here quite a bit. Yes, Aziz Al-Shire, as I've reported before, is someone that they are interested in extending. There's no more guaranteed money left in this deal. That's why you need to adjust the contract for market forces to make sure that it's in line with other top linebackers. He also went to the Pro Bowl. I just interviewed some players. I interviewed Nico Collins. I interviewed Woody Marks. I talked to players, sometimes regularly. I just saw a former player, Damon Arnett, at the gym. I was getting a workout with Justin Allen. He was there. We didn't do an interview. He's not currently on a team. He was on the Texans most of this year. OTAs is, but before that, there's the off-season program. They make a few players available normally at the start of the off-season program. I would expect C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson Jr. to be among the players that do interviews at the start of the off-season program. That's in mid-April. I don't know if they're going to sign a new tight end or not. They could. They could also draft one. Nate likes Joe Mixon. Okay. That's not true, Andrew. I addressed this in a previous chat, and I kind of tell you how the sausage is made. Cade Mays is a free agent. I think Cade Mays would be interested in the Texans and several other teams that might need a center. The Texans haven't even had a pro free agency meeting to decide if they would look at a Cade Mays. So the answer is no, not yet. And like I said, I like to be very honest. I don't like to speculate. See if they look at Cade Mays or not. I think he'd be an okay fit, though. that report was absolutely premature at best from a different reporter. Interesting. The worst fits, I haven't really thought about that. I mean, some of the guys don't really try that hard. Best dressed, I would say Danielle Hunter is very well dressed. Aziz Al-Shire has some cool stuff. Sometimes CJ Stroud does. I think some of Will Anderson's athleisure stuff that he has from Lululemon and other brands are cool. As you guys know, I like to wear suits myself or track suits. That's kind of like, this is my new one for Under Armour. I played high school football with the Under Armour founder, Kevin Plank. He was our fullback and nose guard, so I'm pretty loyal to Under Armour. So that's a brand I like, and then I wear a variety of suits. I like to try to be neat for television and other things. Sometimes even on the channel I'll wear a suit, but it's important for me to have a good image. As far as like really messy, I wouldn't say that anybody, I mean, some of the linemen just don't care about it. One of the linemen that does, Titus Howard, has some cool stuff in terms of casual wear. That's nice. I think some of the other guys. Braxton Berrios, great fits. Excuse me. Yeah, Braxton, if you look at his Instagram, there's a lot of stuff that hasn't always been shown on television because he didn't play a lot, but he had some very cool outfits in my book. And it's not always about name brands, just kind of how you put it together. But yeah, there's some of my fashion insights there. If CJ has a bad season, would they look for a replacement? Yes, I think they would. I think he's got to have a good year. No, we don't know what they'll do with the 28th pick. They don't know because they don't know who's going to be available. But it could be an offensive lineman. It could be a running back. It could be a defensive tackle. There'll be a lot of great linebackers at that spot, King Kong, so we'll see. My top 3 restaurant choices I like a lot of restaurants, so I'll just name some of the ones I like. I don't know about rankings. I haven't really done that. I'm a big fan of Cata Robata. I enjoy Mastro's and Steak 48 like anybody else. I'm a big fan of Local Foods. It's a smaller restaurant, farm-to-table place that I go to a lot. June was really good in the Heights. That's more of a special occasion restaurant, Asian-themed. I like Rumi's Kitchen. Musafir. I went to Pondicherry most recently. I also liked Cado e Crudo Enoteca. This is a casual Italian place, great pasta and pizza. I like Pizzana for pizza. I'm have a lot of different type of cuisines I enjoy. Don't go to as many Mexican restaurants. I guess when I do, I've liked El Tiempo and a couple others, like all the Hugo Ortega restaurants I've been to, including Caracol and Xochi. Graham Mertz was just good in the preseason game. I thought he threw fine. I think they'll keep him. I don't know if they need to, promote him or anything like that. I think he's not in line to be the backup. I think Jacob Rodriguez is viewed a top 100. I don't know if he's going to be a first-round pick. They like Rodriguez, I've heard. Anthony Hill's a very good linebacker. So is Sonny Styles. I think they'll probably draft a running back if they strike out in free agency, Birdie. The Pro Bowl is not important at all. So going to the Pro Bowl is a waste of time and resources, money. Not important. Neither is the Super Bowl. Scouting Combine and the owners' meetings are very important. Those are the tentpole events as a reporter you want to make sure you go to. I think free agency will be significant, but remember they have a tight salary cap situation. You have to do a lot of restructures. Restructure candidates include Nico Collins, Derek Stingley Jr., Danielle Hunter. I could see some restructures happening. I mean, I think they could use some help at tight end. I just don't know if they're going to address it. Johnny Carter, he was healthy enough to play. They just didn't activate him. His hamstring had recovered. He's fighting for a spot. He could be practice squad. He could be into the 53 again. Local guy, North Shore, long corner. They do like him. They haven't used the CFL much, right, guys? Or the UFL a ton. Like they signed a couple of UFL players over the previous years. They do scout it. They do look at it. James Lifford actually was instrumental in them getting Damon Arnett. He did a lot of homework on Arnett before bringing him in. So, and that worked out okay. He was a good practice squad player for them, and he gave them some okay, and he fit in. He didn't get any trouble. He really had. They did get the character right. I don't know. I've never asked Trent about oysters. I know he likes steak. I know that he's definitely someone that likes to go to the nice restaurants. I've talked to him, I think, one time about seafood, so maybe he does like it. I talked to him about Eddie V's and True Lux, a couple places like that. He's a free agent. He'd like to be back. I don't know Rashid Shaheed's free agent price. I would imagine it's expensive. Sarah? Can we expect a healthy Joe Mixon, Tank Dell, or Dalton Schultz? No to Joe. Probably to Tank, at least to start the year. Yes to Dalton Schultz, just a calf injury. Tank, of course, making a steady rehab from catastrophic knee injury. And yes, that is it. Thank you, Simon. You think that me, Jonathan Alexander, or Alexander are the best dressed journalists, and worst is Dan Matthews. Oh, man, poor Dan. Dan looked okay the other night. He had a nice sport coat on. He was on KPRC, him with Cole Thompson. But thank you. I appreciate it. I'll tell Jonathan when I see him. Ari is definitely sharp, and now he's sharp in Boston. I just saw some Aris. I was texting with Ari today. He's enjoying the Super Bowl. I think he's, he has some nice suits. We have a slightly different style. He told me that I have no in-between between track suits, he calls them Sopranos track suits, or dress suits, business suits. I do have some casual wear. One time, some fun here, I wore a plaid shirt and they were joking on me saying I was dressed like Ice Cube in Friday or Devo in Friday. It was just a plaid shirt and they gave me a lot of hell about it. I actually wore it in a YouTube video with Randy. But yeah, King Kong, those are good restaurants, absolutely. I don't know if Sonny Styles is going to be around at 28. Rodriguez would fit really well. He reminds me of Brian Landman in terms of peanut punches. He's great at that. I think that occasionally Nick should draft for need. I think everybody tilts it for need a bit. Like, didn't they tilt for need for C.J. Stroud? Didn't they need a defensive end for Will Anderson Jr.? Didn't they need a nickel for for Jalen Petrie? Obviously, they wanted to get a wide receiver, and they saved that spot for Jaden Higgins. I don't expect Joe Mixon to return at all. Skeptical whether he plays football again, and I don't know if they'll do both. I think that they'll, if they spend money on a free agent, you get Woody Marks. You drafted Woody just last year. Woody's good, so it'd be like a 1-2 punch. And definitely check out my interview with Woody. Woody was very interesting about his rookie season. I think there's a chance you lose Ingram. Ingram would like to stay here. He's from Texas. He'd like to come back. They haven't even started the talk, so I don't know if they will. Cap number did go up. It'll be between $301 million and $305 million. That will help the Texans. Olabos. No, I've said this many times. I do not think Joe will be ready. I have lots of doubts about Joe. I think that I've said this before, lazy man, on players that do not want to return. Tim Settle Jr. would like to return. I just don't know if Tim and will be on the same page financially. It's very easy to say, yeah, I'd love to be back. But then when it starts coming down to numbers and whatever offer or lack of offer they make, remember, it's a negotiation, so it takes two sides to tango. Cade Mays is a name to watch. I'm not reporting that they are going to bid on Cade Mays. I like to be very exact about my statements about interest, free agents, possible talks. They haven't even had a free agent meeting yet to discuss a list. Of course, they have grades and scouting on all those guys, but yeah, they're not at that point yet. We are early. I don't know if they draft 3 offensive linemen in one draft, but there's only so many picks they can make. I think they get a couple. That'd be good. Interesting fact about a Texans player that fans don't know about. Henry To'oTo'o is a fan of rugby, never played the sport. He's a rugby fan. He used to go to the Houston SaberCats, when they were a thing, he would go to a lot of their games, and there were some Pacific Islander guys, including Lecky Fotu's brother, was playing, who was a Texans player this year, defensive tackle, and he would attend some of the games, and he knew Lecky Fotu, and he knew his brother that was playing for the Sabercats. So there's a fun fact, I guess. What's up, Black Soul? Appreciate you. A D'Amico offense. He would love to run the ball. I haven't heard if they're going to do a deal this year for Henry Toto or yet. Not now or yet. I don't know if they're going to yet. I don't know if I want to put that on CJ. Some players, some important offensive players, preferred that Bobby Slowick not return, and they made their voices heard. Several players. That's another report that's absolutely untrue. That was a prediction, and I don't think anyone really understood. ESPN did not report that. That was ridiculous, and the misinterpretation of that was ridiculous too. Guys, they're not doing the contract this year. I don't know why ESPN did that. That was actually within ESPN looked down upon. That was bad. Yeah, I do think that Hannah McNair, as evidenced by her comment and just the attention I know she pays to the fans and to social media, etc., that she's conscious of the voice of the fans. She's got a pulse of it. She cares a lot about what you guys think. She wants you guys to be happy. She wants the Texans to have a winner. I think offensive line, Alabama line would be very good. I think that free agent that would help the Texans. Obviously, it would help them a lot to have Kenneth Walker or Rico Dowdle. We'll see if they get someone. My thoughts on CJ, it's complicated because I know he's capable of playing better than they did. I thought it was poor judgment in the playoff games because he doesn't have to make those errors. It's just like almost like he just lost it in the playoff game. And he's a better quarterback. He's more composed than that, but he still played the way he played. And you can't ignore the performance, but you have to factor in and contextualize, have the perspective of all of his body of work. You can't just ignore what he's done before. I think that would be an error in judgment for anybody to jump to a conclusion because of the playoff games. They've got to make a big picture decision with him, and I think it's complicated. Who's the replacement if it's not Stroud? Right. I think the mic did die. Did you guys, let me go back. I have to repeat a couple of comments. If anyone wants to tell me what my last comment was that went through, I would appreciate it. One sec, I'm just gonna try to catch up here. I'm gonna do this rapid fire. Again, I was saying CJ Stroud, I don't think that wasn't a report. That was just a kind of a clickbait thing. Hannah is very connected to the fans. I agree with that. I think they will look for a defensive tackle, offensive lineman. I think CJ, you have to contextualize. What's this? I think my mic did run out of juice, so we'll do without it. And let me know if anybody's having any problems hearing me. Sorry about that. Some of these things do run low on juice. The battery for my microphone. 1 second. March 11th is the start of free agency. It is not. Parrot, guess what? You can leave. For St. Louis Rebel, he wants to know why are people acting like Tank Dell will save CJ in the offense coming off a serious injury, and even before the injury he was playing decent. The truth is CJ had enough weapons this year, so he didn't play well. Yeah, I mean, I think that Tank does help him. He's someone that, remember the connection they had the year before that, before the arrival of Stephon Diggs kind of crowded the offense, and before the injury that Tank suffered, Tank was helping them. I think, look at the Tampa Bay game from that year. I think that CJ had decent weapons, not overwhelming weapons. Did not have a good enough running game, but both things are true. He had okay weapons and he didn't play well. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, St. Louis Rebel. There is no Joe Mixon. The Instagram posts mean nothing. He doesn't want to say that he's done, and the Texans don't want to, I think it's second guessed or have a problem with the player, especially a player that was popular, was a team captain. They don't want to dunk on Joe or do anything that would hurt Joe or their relationships or their reputation in the industry. But Joe is the reason why there's not more clarity about his injury, because it's at Joe's request. And he does have certain HIPAA rights of privacy, and he doesn't want people talking about it. Yes, Kamka, I do not think he will get a contract this offseason. Will Hernandez, he's a solid guard. I don't know that he's better than Ed Ingram. I watched him. I think he'd be a good Texan. I think he'd help a lot of teams. The Arizona State tackle. I was very impressed with him. I did watch a lot of the drills. I pay attention. I watch, what's available that I can catch, the drills that are available on the internet, and I watched some of it. I just didn't go to to it myself this year. Maybe I'll do it next year. We'll see how far they go in the playoffs. I just know that it was too close to the divisional round. I had actually already booked the AFC Championship game and was making plans for Super Bowl, and I just decided right then it was time for me to shut it down a little bit, other than reporting on things I need to report on, like the locker room clean out, the Caserio press conference, the coaching staff, and some of the events that I've heard. Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. Yeah, CJ is not great against pressure. Guess what? Tom Brady, when he got pressured a lot, had problems. No, I don't know who said that they're looking at Will Hernandez. They haven't even had a pro free agency meeting. So no, I wouldn't call that accurate. Okay, thanks, Seth. I think that, yeah, it's a little over the top, right, Logan? It's a bit much. Miguel, why would you say that he's staying and will ball out? Do you hope that he will, or do you know that he will? He's not even around. Wasn't even around. When Nick says things like that, you got to speak Caserio. He's saying it for a reason. I do think they will extend Will Anderson Jr. I think it will cost over $40 million a year, and I think it's money well spent. I think they will try to sign a running back during free agency. I don't know if they'll double up. I don't know if they have to. You have Woody Marks. Woody Marks is a good complimentary back. They're not planning on letting Tank Dell go. They plan on getting Tank back out there. Sting wasn't late to the Pro Bowl. The videos are just taken out of context. He just wasn't in the video with those guys. He took the team picture. He was on social media. He's not necessarily looking to be in all of the photos and videos and things like that. Aaron Rodgers, I'm told, is considering coming back and playing for Mike McCarthy. They've already talked. I don't think it was a great hire, Sean Mannion. He has no play calling experience. I think it was a underwhelming hire. We'll see. Yes, they should cut Joe Mixon and save $8.5 million against the cap. They really need to, actually. I don't know. I don't think the Pro Bowl at all is a good idea. It's a chance of having injuries. And it's not smart. Yeah, Sting is, not seeking the spotlight. He turns down a lot of marketing deals, brand deals. He's not seeking a lot of attention. Derek Stingley Jr. is pretty serious. So all business. Dino Autry, saw he doesn't really do a lot of interviews. I've come up with a few interviews he's done. He's pretty serious. Kami Fairbairn's pretty serious. I do not see Christian Kirk returning. I don't see them drafting a wide receiver in the first round. Yeah, I think the problem for Petrie was because of the classification of the other player, even though I don't think he actually, they just didn't have, they called him a safety instead of what he is, which is nickel. And that was, I think just people not paying enough attention that vote on those things. I wouldn't take it that seriously. It's a bunch of media guys, and a lot of them don't even watch the Texans play unless they're on national TV. They didn't interview Clint Kubiak at all. They didn't ask for an interview with him. I think a lot of that is because they just don't want to go back in the past. Gary Kubiak was here. I think they wasn't in line. I don't know yet enough about. I know James Ferentz has a great reputation. I don't know if it's going to be a great hire. He's learning how to coach tight ends. He's going to get help from Nick Caley and also Jerry Slapinski, and I think he'll learn a lot from those guys. I do not think they should cut Dalton Schultz. I think that would be a bad idea. He led them in reception with 82. I think he did a better job of blocking this year. Well, for Bobby Sloak to be good in Miami, what's the quarterback answer? If he's coaching Tua, no, I don't think he'll be very good. They got to get a better quarterback. They will have to, with free agency, get their cap in line to be able to make a lot of a splash. Remember, a lot of this money is going to be spent on some of the things I was outlining at the beginning of the show. There's the Titus Howards, the Ed Ingrams, the Azeez Al-Shires, possibly an adjustment for Nico Collins. There are a lot of things they have to accomplish within their own roster, and that will take up space and time and money. I do think that they would want to use Jalen Noel more on offense. DeRhino, thanks, and appreciate everybody that's doing the super chats. Helps a lot with this channel, so much appreciated. Really, really nice of you guys. Thanks, everybody. I call it the tip jar. Everybody that hits that's great. Especially you, St. Louis Rebel. Very, very generous. Really much appreciated. Yes, I think that Jalen Higgins and Jalen Noel will be part of the Caley offense. I think they will, have Noel and Tank Dell compete. Yes, to answer the story, I played high school football at St. John's High School. We were the Catholic League champions. We beat DeMatha Catholic for the Catholic League title. We were one of the highest ranked teams in the nation, ranked in the top 10. I played linebacker, and then I was an invited walk-on at East Carolina University. Lasted about 3 years, and then injured my shoulder. Had chronic dislocations, wound up having surgery, and they wound up medically retiring me. Then I worked in the football office helping the recruiting coordinator, and then I switched majors from criminal justice to communications and journalism, and joined the school newspaper, started getting internships, and just built my career from there. First NFL game I covered was 1997. That was the Jacksonville Jaguars. That was actually the year I met John McClain. And then later worked with John at the Houston Chronicle. So covered a lot of teams. I've covered the Jaguars when Mark Brunell was the quarterback. I covered the Tennessee Titans when Steve McNair was there when they were in the Super Bowl, and they came up a yard shy. I then covered the Baltimore Ravens for 15 years for the Carroll County Times and the Baltimore Sun. That was hired by the Chronicle. Me and the Chronicle didn't see eye to eye for about 5 years, and I joined KPRC, and now I'm really loving it at KPRC and www.clicktohouston.com, and I contribute to iHeartRadio, and that's kind of the Cliff Notes version of my career. And so I've been doing this a long time and enjoy it. There's going to be some temptation to look at some of these defensive tackles. It's a very good defensive tackle group. There's the University of Florida guy. There's Texas Tech. It's good. Caley's offense is not a Sean McVay offense. It's New England. They do not run a lot of Ram stuff at all. Funny guys. Bart Scott was very funny. I'll tell a funny story about Bart really quickly. And this was why he won the Media Good Guy Award when I was covering him with Baltimore. He's a very funny guy. He's good on TV. Bart tackled Reggie Bush. Reggie had a bad ankle. They were playing the Saints. And then he proceeded to twist and really wrench Reggie's ankle. And Reggie was outraged. There was a lot of pain. He already had a bad ankle. And kind of, some people call it like an Indian burn or whatever. So after the game, we go up to Bart in the locker room and say, hey, what was that? Well, he was, because they almost fought. They were separated. They broke it up. And he says, oh, man, I just put a little hot sauce on his ankle. They put a lot of hot sauce on everything here in New Orleans. That's all that was. It was hilarious. So we gave him a giant bottle of Crystal, which is Louisiana branded hot sauce as and we wrapped a ribbon around it for the Good Guy Award. And then I'm involved with the Good Guy Award here with the Texans. We've had C.J. Stroud as a rookie was the winner. Then Joe Mixon last year. Remember how good his interviews were, how insightful he was. And then this year, Azeez Al-Shire. So we try to pick guys that are interesting interviews that also cooperate with us and give us interviews regularly. Okay. Miguel, if you have some information, that he's healthy, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to work out. We'll see. Thank you, Kevin Schuler. Appreciate it. Thanks for hitting the super chat. I could see the Texans extending Danielle Hunter again. Yeah, why not? Keep it going. I think Arian Turner will only get better. He only got better this year. I think he will continue to improve. I don't see a sophomore slump for Ursary. I mean, Tank's going to compete, but remember, Tank was a more dynamic receiver than all those receivers you named when he was, healthy. You knew I was a linebacker. Yeah, I was aggressive. I wasn't the biggest linebacker. I played at about 225 pounds, and I worked as hard as I could. I threw my body around, and my position coach at East Carolina was Chuck Pagano, and it was great playing for Chuck. And Chuck coached me just like anybody else, like any of the guys that we had, including we had a first-round linebacker named Robert Jones of the Dallas Cowboys, and it was a great experience for me. Built a lot of character. I'm out there against some great athletes, and definitely still have some aches and pains to this day. I have pinched nerves, back, neck, herniated discs, so I deal with some sciatica. Definitely deal with some pain sometimes, but hey, love my football days. Wouldn't change it for anything. Had a lot of fun in my younger days playing football. Now I got my Pokai Al Bundy type stories for you. Yeah, Rodriguez, I don't know about top 10 pick. I think he's a shot at first round. I was proud to break the Ray Rice story. I had a tip from the casino security, and it was anonymous, and I had to run it down, and I had a very anxious 48 hours confirming the story. I was advised to go up to Atlantic City to run it down personally, and we did that. In Baltimore Sun, we broke the story. It also, I went up in the Mueller report, the FBI report, about my reporting on the Ray Rice story. And also just, I was upset because I was close to Ray and I had to do my job. And Ray and I stayed in touch, and I did an interview with him after he'd been basically banished from the NFL and cut by the Ravens. He wanted to come back and play again. And to this day, Ray and I are in good terms, but it was difficult. It was interesting. I wound up breaking his contract extension, and that was because Ray told his agent, who wanted to give the story to Adam Schefter or someone else, told him to give me the story. This was before all that happened, because I had that kind of relationship with him. So I'm proud of the relationship. I'm proud of the news breaking, and proud of the way I handled a sensitive and difficult story. And I've had other stories over the years that were tough, and I had to work through them, whether it's, Deshaun Watson, and wound up being right about a lot of things about that. Probably could have said a little more diplomatic in this politically correct era, but I know the truth. And truth is very complicated on that story. But yeah, I was proud this year of reporting on Jimmy Ward, and I just waited and waited. I didn't pass judgment on Jimmy, and I knew that there were some problems with the case, and I waited. I didn't express an opinion, just kind of, did my job being unbiased and playing it down the middle. And then when he was acquitted, exonerated, I got the story from him and his lawyers because they trusted me. So yeah, the trust I get from players, the relationships, that makes me proud. I know he said that it's not only the Patriots, it's the Texans offense, but this is the offense he knows, the offense he grew up in with Josh McDaniels. It's the offense that he's most comfortable, not the offense he was taught and collaborated with Sean McVay and the Rams. Maybe next year I'll come out with some new stuff. It's a new year. Yeah, the plan is to restructure contracts and do some cap cleanup to get there. Let me pull it up here. Texans 2026 draft picks. want to answer this perfectly for you. They have, obviously, their 28th pick of the draft in the first round. That's their own pick. But from the Laramie Tunsil trade, they have the 38th overall selection. It's a great pick to have. And they have their own 59th overall selection. So they have 3 picks in the top 59 selections. They have the Giants' 3rd round pick, 69th overall. They have 2 picks in the 4th round. No 5th round picks, no 6th round picks, 2 7th round picks. So they currently hold 8 picks. Hey Seth, yeah, the way I went about becoming a reporter, I grew up reading the Washington Post. This was the really great era of the Washington Post sports section with guys like Michael Wilbon, Tony Kornheiser, Tom Boswell, and I would read the sports section. I was a big Redskins fan. Now they're the Commanders, and I grew up going to the games, and so I was really curious about wanting to know more about the team, my favorite team. So I would read the articles, and I was studied statistics, and I was a collector. I had little cards and stuff like that. I grew up going to Orioles games, Baltimore Orioles, and I was just a sports fan. I was playing sports, and then occasionally I would write stories, practice stories. I would watch a game, and then when I was in middle school and high school, I would write stories that obviously weren't published, just stories that I did for practice, and I would do that, and I would compare my work to without interviews, just like my thoughts on the game and using stats and things like that. So it was something I was really interested in. And then I got very interested in college. And then when I realized the competitiveness you could have to break stories, I got really interested in it. I had a lot of internships, and then I kept moving, up in the ranks. And then I've paid a lot of dues, obviously, to get to this point in my career and to have the long career that I've had. And like anybody, you'll have your ups and downs. Some stories you'll get, some stories you won't. You might, like I was alluding to, you might lose your job at some point, and guess what? You got to get back on the horse, and you got to be determined. You can't let setbacks get you down. Just like athletes, like look at C.J. Stroud. He's having a career setback right now, but I certainly think he has a bright future. So I had a little career setback, and guess what? I got back at it. I didn't quit, and I could have been working the day after that. I waited about a week or so, and I got back to work. I was at Sports Talk 790. Then I added KPRC2. And guess what? Today, I'm on television, and I have more following combined than anybody that covers the Texans, and I'm proud of that. And we have a large YouTube channel, and I worked hard to get to where I am. And I don't make any apologies for that, because I pride myself on hard work and dedication, and I take this job seriously, and I should. Words matter. What we say about these people matters. And that's why sometimes I may not be the most critical. I tend to kind of play it down the middle, but I'm mostly about the information, and I'm trying to get you guys the truth. David Cully lives here in the area, plays a lot of golf. He had both knees replaced. He's being healthier now. He's doing better. I started in 2015 covering the Texans. I can't say everything that I know about the Deshaun Watson case. Just there was more to it. A lot of this is tied up in non-disclosure agreements and other legalities. They're not always on the same page because they, don't always see everything the same way, but they usually come to a compromise. And, if it comes to a tie, they don't have this, written in stone, but Nick Caserio is going to give D'Amico Ryans the players that he wants. He's always tried to do that for all of the coaches he's had. Yeah, looking good at the Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl is not the most important thing, right, guys? But it's good that they're doing well. Most importantly, staying healthy. Thanks, Alamos. I appreciate you. Thanks for the kind words. And like I said, guys, we have about 16 to 20 more minutes left. So just whatever questions you guys have, I'll get them answered for you. And I appreciate everybody that's contributed, all the questions, good questions. And sorry, let me fix this phone a little bit. Apologize. Tighten up the... Yeah, it's better. I don't know. I don't know why he did that, Seth. I think he tends to be critical of anything when it comes to media stuff. I don't think he understands the motivations or all that stuff when it comes to a story. But let's just say that someone that was in a position to know literally said, told me something inaccurate. Yes, I'm kind of throwing somebody under the bus. I like my batting average. Let's put it like that. I like my track record. Was I right about Case Keenum starting? Yes. Was I right about Joe Mixon in October that it was not going to happen this year? Was Joe Mixon wrong when he was later after the fact clapping back at someone that said he was done for the year? We'd already said he was done for the year. Like I said, I like my track record on injuries, contracts, coaching staff. I think D'Amico sometimes doesn't like the breaking news aspect of the job. He's somewhat old school, and I think him and Nick Cassero are in lockstep with not wanting a lot of information to get out, but still every year a lot of information does get out, and that's our job. It's not our job to be stenographers or to kiss the coach's butt or the GM or the players. It's our job to do our job. That doesn't mean necessarily you have to be jerks or anything. I have a great relationship with the Texans and people in the building, but I still have a job to do, and they respect that. And he's told me that before. He said, hey, Aaron, you do a great job. He said, you not hurting our competitive advantage or anything like that by you finding things out. I knew the Keenum story for 4 days before I reported it. I held that story intentionally, actually, to be a somewhat nice guy about it and not report it until Saturday. And then I wasn't credited by local and national media, even though they reported it 14 hours after me, which is a half day. Yeah, I don't know. I would have to ask D'Amico about that, or maybe you could, if you had the access. I don't know. I think he likes easygoing questions. I think he wants it to be a little more positive. A lot of coaches feel that way. They work very hard. They put a lot into it, and when the coverage isn't positive and they're used to positive coverage, I think that bothers them and offends them. But it's not really a job where you can be very thin-skinned. Oops. Sorry about that. It was really funny, the chair. Will the Texans get new uniforms for the rivals jerseys? I have not heard. They joint practice all the time. I'm sure they'll pick somebody to joint practice with. I didn't know they were gone, King Birdie. They're still here. John is retired. Mark is retired. I would say that they're really competitive journalists. I work with John, and I just helped John with the PVIL thing, with getting him some pub, with the latest thing that he did with the great documentary. I attended the sneak preview over at the Regal movie theater. I thought it was outstanding, and it was fun to talk to Mean Joe Green and hang out with Warren Moon. Check out my interview with Warren Moon, and chatted informally a little bit with Gary Kubiak's very proud. This was days before his son Clint Kubiak got the Las Vegas Raiders job. I think they might sign a receiver. I don't know if they're going to draft one. A really memorable Texans game I covered. Obviously, one of them was very disappointing for the Texans. It was the Chiefs game, the meltdown, the game where they had the big lead and they did a fake punt. Very, very memorable. But as far as like a game that I thought was memorable that they won, it was the Buffalo game. It's Seth, John McClain's in the Hall of Fame. It doesn't get any better than that. I don't know if Proctor would still be there at their pick. I have not heard of a Gray Zabel type guy yet. No one's really emerged like that. I like the Iowa lineman. I think he'd be really good. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa Avery. Super chat. Texans better get a legit third corner at some point. Unfortunately, Kamari, Lasher, Stingley are going to go down for a period of time. Texas season's over if that happens. The plan is to plug in Jalen Smith. And Jalen had recently found out what his injury was. It was a torn meniscus. I'm told he's making sorry about that. Just plug it in here. I'm told he's making a great recovery. So yeah, Jalen Smith would be the replacement if you were to lose either of those guys for an extended period of time. But I understand what you're saying, Lisa. Yeah, everybody's, not wanting to lose those players. Sorry, 1 second. Apologize for that. I have had a beef with other reporters, yes. Locally and nationally. Bert, you seem really interested in the media angle. I wonder why. Any reason? Penn State guard's really good. I think all those guys would be nice picks. They're picking 28th, though, not 25th. Glinda, good evening for you and all the good folks in McKinney. I don't know if it could make them stale. I mean, there's the other side of the coin with the lack of coaching changes that the continuity might improve them. They were all over the John Carroll University wide receiver. He broke a lot of Frank Ross records. Frank has a lot of records. He also had a great game in the Tropic Bowl All-Star game when Frank was a slot receiver for JCU. Okay, Rhino, thanks for sharing that. Rhino says his uncle is married to Warren Moon's ex-wife. Me and Landry are good. I actually talked to Landry today. Like I said, I wish Landry and Cody Stutes a lot of luck with all of their their channels. They do a great job. I hear you a lot about. I mean, Jalen Smith, he had some injuries as a rookie. It doesn't mean he can't be healthy next season. You can't just have like an all-star team of corners because where's he going to play? If you draft another corner high in the draft, like say first round or second round, like Stingley and Kamar Lassiter, or you pay for a lot and they just sit on the bench. The way the defense is designed is that Stingley and Kamara play 100% of the snaps, outside snaps, every game. D'Angelo Pounds is a good football player. Indiana, yeah, outstanding. I don't know that they're going to prioritize that. They like Jalen Smith. You guys might not, but I'm just telling you what they do. And so you might not like it, but they will have Jalen Smith as their third corner. And again, that's where a lot of what I say comes from. I like to deal with the facts and the reality, not I think this guy's better, they should do this. That's not really what I'm doing. If you guys kind of picked up on a little bit my approach to this. I don't think they're going to bring back Jimmy Ward at age 35. To answer your question, Stevie, I think that they would look at safety. I don't know if it's going to be a high-priced safety. I don't know how big of a priority it is when you can't have like an all-star group, all 11, but you need someone good and reliable to play next to Kalen Bullock. If they don't think that's Jalen Reed, I can see them drafting one. Yeah, I mean, Kamari, they're going to have to pay Kamari at some point. They do not hate Christian Harris. He's good. You're joking. They feel bad for Christian that he couldn't get healthy, stay healthy, and realize his potential, which is considerable. Yeah, I know AJ Halsey. He's a local guy from Thurgood Marshall, Missouri City guy, trains locally with Ja'Cory Nichols. I've interviewed AJ before, former University of Houston guy, all SEC safety, LSU, thumper, big hitter, would fit in well. I think he's going to be a top 100 pick if he tests well. I heard he will run likely at least mid 4.4s to low 4.5s. He's about 6 foot, 215 pounds. I think he can get it done. Yeah, I did. I think everyone's seen CJ Stroud's new haircut, right? I don't think it. I've answered this question a little bit. I don't think it matters. What's his hair look like? I don't think it's symbolic necessarily. Maybe it's a whole new look for him and whatever. If it works for him, I like it. If it doesn't, I don't. I thought Henry To'oTo'o had his moments. There were some times where I think he played great in terms of playing the Tampa Bay game was probably his low point, but he had some good games, including the Chargers game. Jacob Rodriguez, I heard they like him a lot. A lot of people like him though. Locker room jokester. They don't play a lot of pranks. Usually Kamar Lash and Kalen Bullock are over there cutting up. They have a little bit of fun. They like to joke around a little bit. And the linemen's that's a funny area, like with over there by Titus Howard and those guys. Some good stuff over there. Haggai Nabuse from the international player is very funny too. I mean, Jalen Noel is here mostly to return kicks, so they're not going to hurt his development in that area. If they don't get a running back in free agency, I think they would draft one. It's a little deeper at linebacker this draft at first glance. There haven't been a lot of great linebackers. I think this is a really good linebacker. Yeah. I thought I did answer this. Yeah. Astros. Yeah, no, going to the Pro Bowl games is nothing. Pro Bowl games, no media really like to go to that unless they're already there for the Super Bowl. And I wasn't going to the Super Bowl with the Texans not going. So, no, not a good event for me. Not really great for access. And it's just a lot of fluff. If you notice a lot of the content, it's asking guys lots of silly questions. It's nothing. Not a big deal. It's prestigious for the players to be in it, but the game doesn't mean anything anymore. And it's just flag football. I think they'll look more at free agency, for some needs, but I think the draft is going to be a bigger deal. I don't think that Christian Kirk or Braxton Berrios would return. As far as gains, I can see them signing maybe one wide receiver, probably not the highest priced receiver, but maybe trying to add someone. Maybe like a Wan'Dale Robinson. I think Juwan Jennings might even be expensive. Keep an eye, King Birdie, for the Texans possibly. Mexico is their territory. There will be a Mexico City game. Roger Goodell announced that in December. They would probably be a candidate for that. They're also always a candidate for London because of the Jaguars being in the same division. And that was the last time they played an overseas game. I've covered that game, and I covered it when they went to Mexico City. I don't know if Kenneth Walker III is going to make it to free agency. I think they might work something out. I'm not disrespectful to T-Town. I just don't know that they are going to make him a starting receiver. They had a chance to make him a starting receiver this year, and they didn't do it. Don't be mad at me for what the coaches do. That's not my fault. I don't have any power at all over that. I'm just telling you that they're not holding him back. There's room for him and Tank. Lots of guys get to play receiver. Aren't there targets for Xavier Hutchinson even? And he's not a starter. I would think offensive line. I would think they would try to get offensive lineman in the first round. There's going to be some really tempting defensive tackles. And if Sonny Styles somehow slides, I can see that happening. Breece Hall has been interested in the Texans before. Maybe they'll do some business with Nicole Lynn, his agent. She also represents Will Anderson Jr. We'll see. Ed Ingram as well. So there could be 3 potential negotiations with Clutch Sports' top agent, Nicole Lynn. Just because you think that he should be playing more doesn't mean the team sees it that way. I think they're going to have that conversation about Breece and see what his price tag looks like. No, I don't cover the draft in person. I cover it at NRG Stadium. I get better access covering it there. There's no upside. There's not a lot of good interviews you can get at the draft. They're picking 28th. The last time KPRC went to the draft, Ari Alexander, my former colleague, went when CJ was being drafted second overall. I was able to get some access to CJ, in person. But it's better to be here. Dream player acquisition for the team. I don't think you mean accusation, Kevin. I catch your drift. I think it'd be fun to get a star running back. Could be ATN, Hall, Dowdle, Walker. We'll see. I don't know if they're going to tag Breece Hall. We're going to see what Darren Muji's thinking. Nothing that I know of. Xavier Hutchinson, I talked to him after the locker cleaned out. He seemed fine. I think Wan'Dale Robinson will explore free agency, Stevie. I'm recharging. Astros fan, thanks for asking. I'm working, but I'm not working every minute of the day. Like in season, I'm trying to actually working on exercise and spending time with family and my wife, and just trying to. Actually, I had some back problems during the latter half of the season, so I've been doing a lot of stretching and going to the chiropractor, doing some physical therapy, trying to be healthy as I can. I gotta be built to last. Luke Lachey didn't really make a big enough impression to ever be a factor in games. He was a practice squad guy. I heard he worked hard on the practice squad. He's got a good size. He's not the fastest guy. I don't know. mean, Seth, come on. I have no idea. I don't talk to CJ about things like that. We talk about football, or we talk about family stuff, or we joke around a little bit about. Sometimes he'll joke with me about my track suits or suits. He's a real nice guy. We have like normal conversations. We don't normally talk about hair and beanies. I remember we're men. Like I don't really talk to a lot of guys about their hair, like or they talk about my lack of hair or whatever. I mean, it's just come on. D'Amico did not attend the Senior Bowl. They had Frank Ross there. They had scouts there. They had Nick Caserio there. They had Cole Popovich there. They had some other guys. All right, Astros fan. I appreciate it. Thanks for the kind words. Got time for a couple more questions, guys. We're at about an hour now. Of course, Romanos. Yeah. What kind of updates are you looking for CJ? If you hear my question, my reply. Of course, we'll do updates on CJ. CJ getting a haircut. I already did the most important update on CJ of the offseason so far, that he was not going to the Pro Bowl. By the way, guys, that was not an announcement. That was my report. That's an exclusive. I don't really hang out with the players. I'm cool with a lot of players. I don't want to necessarily like point out one guy. I mean, there's a lot of players I have really great relationships with. I've covered Titus Howard for a very long time. We have a really good rapport. Kanye Fairburn, guys that have been here for a while. But I've hit it off with some of the new players like Trent Brown, Ariana Ursary. I have good relationships in the locker room, and I pride myself on that. I don't hang out with the players, just so you guys understand that. I can't be like, hanging out with the guys and be like their friend, that kind of thing. But there's respect, rapport, all those things. So we just try to make sure that I'm cool with them, but I also have to do my job. So it's a balancing act, and I've done this for a long time. And I've covered other players I was close with, or whether it was Ray Rice or Bart Scott or Ed Reed when I was covering the Ravens and that kind of thing. I would not say that Jake Andrews in the locker room, Cody Stutes are best friends. They don't hang out. They get along well in the locker room. Jake is super nice to all of us. He talks to everybody, King Birdie. But everybody's cool with Jake. Yeah, Jake's a great guy. He gives some great interviews. I was the one that did the first interview he did in Houston. I was connected with him all the way back in the offseason when he was clearing waivers and being claimed by the Texans. So, yeah, I wouldn't say anybody's best friends. Those guys are objective. They do their job. They criticize Jake sometimes. It's all fair, and he accepts that. Romanos, could you refresh my memory on that question? Who will be working with as far as coaches? Do you mean like a private coach or something like that? Quincy Avery has been his private coach for a long time, so he might continue to still work with Quincy. We'll see. Stevie wants to know if I plan on watching the Rockets games. I would like to go to a Rockets game. I have not been to a Rockets game in a couple years. Nice, best breakfast and brunch place. I know Snooze is very good. I like the Post Oak breakfast and brunch. I think that's really good. Burger, B&B Butchers, Del Frisco's Burger, which is off the menu. A couple of the other good ones. I don't generally go to Chinese restaurants. I usually get sushi. I might go to Kata Rabada. Some of the other local spots I like. I think it was called Kinshu Ramen. I like that one a lot. Seth, it would take a long time for me to go into Bill Ryan, Jack Easterby. I guess I only have a couple minutes left, but maybe another day. It was an interesting time. Let's put it like that. Player whose accent I couldn't understand. I haven't covered a lot of players that didn't speak English well, so I haven't had a lot of problems with understanding their accent. DeRhino wants a center, a guard, and a running back like Jadarian Price. Don't know if he'll still be there at 28. Yeah, CJ, I think Romanos, I think he'll work with Quincy Avery again. Texas Perp Sipper says, Ray Lewis, and thank you for the super chat. Super chat's cut the line. Ray Lewis overrated, basically a run-stopping linebacker, nothing more. He was slow. Just wanted to say that. God bless. Ray had a lot of interceptions, a lot of sacks. forced a lot of fumbles. He covered a lot of ground. He was slow at the end of his career when he was in his late 30s and was still playing and trying to hang on for that last Super Bowl ring. And he made it through despite having a torn triceps. He was playing injured. His younger days, and I covered Ray going all the way back to the late 90s, early 2000s. He was a very fast, hard striking linebacker, adjusted his tackling style from becoming kind of a headhunter, using his shoulder. He's in the Hall of Fame. He was a special player, multiple NFL Defensive Player of the Year awards, one of the best ever. So I disagree with that comment, but that's okay. Respect your comment, your perspective. I need to watch Jonah Coleman more, but I know he has a good rep and he can play. I don't know if they're going to get Breece Hall. I think he could be expensive. We're going to see. Brandon wants to know if I get scoops on players they wanted to trade up for. Yes, last year, Kelvin Banks and also Booker, but they weren't able to get them. They were also interested in Donovan Jackson. He was drafted before their pick. No, I have not always covered the Texans. I've covered the Texans for going on 11 years. I covered the Baltimore Ravens for 15 years. I covered the Jacksonville Jaguars. I also covered the Tennessee Titans. I briefly covered the 49ers, but mostly spent my time covering the Ravens for the majority of my career, and now the second half of my career here in Houston, Texas, covering the Texans. Yeah, I mean, they're good wide receivers, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. I mean, you got to give them some time. They showed a lot of potential this year. They definitely can get it done. I have time for about 5 more minutes, guys. And thanks for everybody for the great questions and for those super chats. Much appreciated. Thank you. No, Six-Toed. We don't know exactly what they're going to do with their first pick. They don't know yet because they don't have your real sense for what the other teams are going to do. It's so early. And like you said, it is super early. I think, look at offensive line. There's going to be some real values at linebacker and defensive tackle. Like you were asking about players they were close to acquiring. They were not close to acquiring Breece Hall. They made like one call, didn't go anywhere. They haven't really been too far down the road with a lot of trades that they got close on and it didn't happen. One year they were close at the deadline of trading Brandon Cooks to the Dallas Cowboys, and obviously he was traded later to them in the offseason. So, no, not a ton of things like that. They looked at even the J.J. Watt draft. When Patrick Peterson went off the board, that's when they pivoted. They were going to draft Peterson, and they wound up going with J.J.'s. Anytime this offseason, but you need to know how much money. I think that making the highest paid defensive player, as long as it's over $40 million, I think that will work. Thank you, Lobos. I appreciate it. You're very welcome. I got about 2 more minutes. We'll do like about 1 hour and 10, guys. There's a couple last one at once. People are coming in here late. Yeah, I mean, the guard. I don't know if they're going to draft 3 linemen, though. That might be a little excessive, but there'll be some new offensive linemen here. They want to upgrade. I know this. They're not just going to run it back with the line that they have. At least they're not going to try to. That's not the intention. The intention is to get some new blood. I don't think C.J. Stroud will be extended this year. I think he'll be extended if he plays well after next season. Thank you, King Birdie. Appreciate you. Yeah, they'll take the offensive line very seriously. I told you, Cole Popovich has juice. Nikeli has juice. They're going to look at this. I was just saying 5th-year option first. Yep. Okay, thanks, Seth. Appreciate that. It could, lazy man. Yeah, that'd be a good number to do it for something like that. He's saying 3 years, $141 million. It might be longer for the cap amortization to fit in Will's numbers. Hope there's a couple last-minute questions. Right. I mean, the number's gigantic, but I don't think that's his goal necessarily to be the highest paid. I think he needs to be a respectable number, generational wealth, that type of thing. 40 million plus. But I'm not Will's agent. We'll see what happens. Cole Popovich did a good job with the offensive line. They have some faith in him. Absolutely not, Jack. They have to pay Anderson. That's the biggest thing of the offseason. They think they get it done. Like I said, guys, I want to thank everybody for supporting the channel. And I want to forget. Let me tell you real quick, and I'm hanging for a little bit. My friends are sponsors at Fence Geeks, and they're at fencegeeks.com. They do the finest detailed work. Really great craftsmanship on fencing, gates, doors, railings, gate access controls, all commercial work or home residential work. The community entrances, commercial fencing, dumpster enclosures. Check out their work on their website at fencegeeks.com. If you want to call them for a free quote, call them at 713-299-6482. Again, that's 713-299-6482. Or email them at service@fencegeeks.com. They're Texans fans just like you guys. That's how I got to know them. And I have a ton of respect for them and the great work they do. Check out the photos and check out their Instagram at Fence Geeks. You won't be sorry. Hi, Nancy. I think they will look at free agent receiver. That's very possible. Lisa Avery asking about dating. I am married, Lisa. Thank you. Possibly could use a safety, but yeah. I appreciate the question. Thanks, Baseball. I've answered this a couple times. I don't think it really matters. I think some people have attached too much symbolism to it. Haircuts are haircuts. I think it, maybe he'll say that. I don't know. I'm not going to contact his family about the haircut. At some point, it becomes overkill. This stuff. What's more important, that he didn't go to the Pro Bowl, or that he didn't get a haircut? They got a haircut, that kind of thing. Maybe he thought it was time for a change. Maybe it is symbolic. We'll see. At some point, we'll talk to him this offseason. Kevin, barring like a lot of news, I think probably next Tuesday. Next live, that is. See if it gets busy enough to, we have a lot of updates to share with you guys. We have our ongoing series, of course, off-season blueprint. The next one will be about tight end. I think they will get another safety. I don't think they're just going to run it back with Jalen Reed. I think they'll add to the position. I think he'll be competing with someone. I appreciate that, Lisa. Thanks so much for the chat. Thank you, Kevin. All right, guys. I think I'm going to head out, and appreciate all the questions. This is a great group of questions, really interesting comments. Appreciate everybody that contributed, and it was a lot of fun for me to get a chance to talk to you guys tonight. So thank you, and we'll do it again very soon. All right, guys. Thanks. Oh, wait. Yeah, maybe it did. I don't know. But he's going to have a good offseason. How he throws is certainly more important than his hair. Who knows? Maybe he'll run a little faster with a little less hair. I wish that made me faster. Kidding. I thought he looked sharp, though. I mean, as far as like haircuts, it was nice and neat. All right. Guys, thanks. Good night. Appreciate you guys. We will talk soon. And very close to 30,000 subscribers. Let's see what the number is right now. I'm going to pull it up before we head. Shave my head, grow my beard out. I could, I guess. I think that's been an interesting look for me. Still about 29,700 and change. So I just need about 300 more to be at the 30,000 mark, new milestone. And after that, just keep on moving up, 31,000, 32,000. Keep on going. Goal is to be at 50,000 next season. All right, guys. Thanks. I don't know if I'm going to shave my head just yet. Some people suggested that to me before. We'll see. See a little bit of hair. All right, guys. Thanks. And good night.